Alright, what's up? It's Richie here with week 3 of college football for the 2020 season. I'm going to break this up, the Saturday games. I'm going to actually do one video for the noon games, one video for the midday games, which are the games that are 3:30, and one video for the prime time games, which are the ones I'm going to say from 7 o'clock and later. It start at 7 o'clock and later. So starting off with the noon games, two teams that haven't played yet. Houston Cougars from the American Athletic and the Baylor Bears from the Big 12. Houston went 4-8 last year. They have 16 returning starters. Quarterback Clayton Tune, 1,533 passing yards, 11 touchdowns, 9 picks. Wide receiver Marquez Stevenson, 52 catches, 907 yards, 9 touchdowns, and he's a really good return man. Normally Houston, they have the potential to be powerful on offense. Baylor's coming off a 11-3 season, but they have a new coach, and they only have 10 returning starters and only 2 on their defense. 8 of them on their offense, though, including a really good quarterback in Charlie Brewer, passed for 3,161 yards, 21 touchdowns to only 7 picks, and added 11 rushing touchdowns. They have a good middle linebacker in Terrell Bernard, who had 112 tackles last year. This has the potential to be a shootout if both offenses can get going like Baylor and Houston normally does. However, I'm going to go give the edge to, even though it's Baylor's a new head coach, I'll still give the edge to Baylor. But I'm going to put them on a little bit of an upset alert. All right, next game is Navy and Tulane. Navy got killed a couple weeks ago against BYU. They got destroyed 55-3. There's really nothing good to say about them. They only had 149 yards and gave up 580. This is going to be tough for Navy. Tulane, they went 1-0. They beat South Alabama. They did struggle against what looks to be an improved South Alabama team. They were down 24-6 at one time, came back to win 27-24. Quarterback Keon Howard, he was 14 of 30 for 191 yards, which isn't great, but he added 1 rushing. Running back Tyjae Spears, 105 rushing yards, and defense had 5 sacks. Navy could get things going again, and if they get their triple option going, they'll be hard to stop. But I'm going to go Tulane this game. Both Tulane's got a pretty good running game, and Tulane was able to showed they can handle the off season a little bit better. All right, then you got Tulsa and Oklahoma State, which was actually a postponed game from last week. So this is both teams' first game. Tulsa's coming in a 4-8 season. 12 returning starters, but 9 on offense. A good quarterback in Zach Smith, who passed for 3,279 yards, 19 touchdowns, to only 9 picks. Running back Brooks ran for 1,046 yards and 6 touchdowns. And wide receiver Keelan Stokes, 62 catches, 1,040 yards, and 6 touchdowns. They have potential on offense this year to see if we can put it together. Oklahoma State should have a Heisman candidate in Chuba Hubbard at running back coming back. He ran for 2,094 yards and 21 touchdowns, and he is back. They have a pretty good quarterback with Spencer Sanders, who passed for 2,065 yards, 16 touchdowns, 11 picks, and added 628 rushing yards. It was his first season as starter, so kind of up and down, but not bad overall. And then Tylan Wallace, he only played in 8 games and had 53 catches for 903 yards and 8 touchdowns. Like I said, only 8 games. He almost hit 1,000. 2 years ago, he was one of the best in the country. In my mind, he's on the very short list for the Blitnikoff Award. I think Oklahoma State, this is another potential to be a shootout, but I think Oklahoma State will have too much firepower, and I think they should get past Tulsa pretty easily. All right, then you got the Sun Belt. You got Louisiana Raging Cajuns taking on Georgia State. Louisiana has played a game. They actually upset Big 12 Iowa State team and pretty easily, 31-14. Quarterback Levi Lewis, 154 passing yards and a touchdown. They did force 2 turnovers, and they were helped by a kick return and a punt return for a touchdown. Louisiana is one of the favorites in the Sun Belt. Georgia State, this is their first game. They're coming off a nice season last year. They went 7-6. They do have 17 returning starters, but they lost their quarterback, so they're starting over at quarterback. They have a good middle linebacker in Trajan Stevens-McQueen, 110 tackles. I'm going to go Louisiana Cajuns here, though. They're one of the most complete teams, in my opinion, in the country, just overall. So I think they should be able to beat Georgia State. All right, Liberty in Western Kentucky. This game has a potential for a shootout. Liberty, they're coming off an 8-5 season. They only have 10 returning starters. Coming in, they lost their quarterback. They do have a decent grad transfer from 1AA Maine and Chris Ferguson. In 2018, passed for 2,300 yards, 22 touchdowns, and 11 picks. And they have the kind of offense that can get that if you have a good quarterback, they can get going easily there. But they are losing their top receiver in Antonio Gandy Golden and their top quarterback. Whereas Western Kentucky, they played a game. They did lose to Louisville, but they played them pretty decently overall. They lost 35-21. They had a grad transfer, which I didn't mention, Tyrone Pigram at quarterback from Maryland. He didn't have a great game. He was 10 of 23, 129 and a touchdown, added 68 rushing yards, but he's a good dual threat. Like I said, this could be a shootout. I'm going to go Western Kentucky here just because they do have they know what they have at quarterback here going into that game. All right, ACC game, Syracuse and Pitt. Syracuse, they played North Carolina good for the first half, but then they couldn't hold on. They lost 31-6. Tommy DeVito really wasn't that good, 13 of 31 there. Defense did force 3 turnovers, but they're playing a tough Pitt team. Pitt, they did play Austin Peay. They destroyed him 55-0. QB Pickett, 277 passing, and a touchdown, ran for a touchdown. They put up 456 yards. Their defense only allowed 137 total yards, 3 sacks, forced 3 turnovers, and a blocked punt for a touchdown. I think this will be a little bit closer for both teams, but I'm going to go Pitt here. I think Pitt is a stronger overall team right now. All right, then we got Boston College Duke. Boston College, this is their first game. They had a 6-7 season last year. They have 13 returning starters. They have some quarterbacks there. They lost their starter. He transferred to Oregon. Anthony Brown actually did. But Dennis Grosso, 9 touchdowns, 3 picks in limited time. They lost their starting running back in A.J. Dillon, but the backup, David Bailey, he ran for 844 and 7 touchdowns just as the backup, so he could be penned in for 1,000 yards. And they do have a little bit of a wild card grad transfer, Phil Jerkovic, who came in from Notre Dame. He was supposed to be a high recruit for them. So let's see if he gets in and plays there. Then you got Duke, who they actually played Notre Dame in the first game. They held them pretty tough. They only lost 27-13. Chase Bryce had a nice first game, 259 passing and 1 rushing touchdown. Defense had 3 sacks. After the first game, seeing how Duke, played, I thought Notre Dame might blow Duke out. They didn't. I'm gonna go Duke here against Boston College. This would be a pretty even game, old school kind of tough game, and I'm gonna go Duke to edge there. All right, Austin Peay at Cincinnati. This is Cincinnati's first game, coming off 11-3 season. 15 returning starters, but only 5 on offense, but that does mean 10 on their defense coming back. They had the number 24 scoring defense nationally, so that's good for them. They have one of the most experienced quarterbacks in the group of 5 in Desmond Ridder. Passed for 2164, 18 touchdowns, 9 picks, and added 675 rushing yards and 5 rushing touchdowns. So they shouldn't have much problem with Austin Peay there. Then Appalachian State and Marshall. This, I think, could be a pretty good game. Appalachian State is one of the best in the Sun Belt, one of the best group of 5 teams. They're 1-0. They beat Charlotte 35-20. Zach Thomas, 204 passing, 1 touchdown, 1 pick. They ran for 308 yards as a team. They had 200-yard running backs. Marcus Williams, 117. Cameron Peoples, 102. Wide receiver Thomas Hennigan, 5 catches, 120 and a touchdown. They did turn over 3 times, so you don't want to do that against a normally decent to good team like Marshall. Marshall's 1-0. Now they played Eastern Kentucky, but they did destroy them 59-0. Grant Wells started and had a monster game, 307 yards and 4 touchdowns. They put up 627 yards. Defense only gave up 166. This, I think, will be a really close game. It is at Marshall. Marshall should be one of the better CUSA teams. App State's going to be one of the best Sun Belt teams. After seeing that first game, I'm going to give the edge to Appalachian State just because Appalachian State has been the most consistent, more consistent at even higher level than Marshall has. So this will be close, but I'm going to go App State there. All right, then you got the USF Bulls at Notre Dame. USF, they had a new coach. They played the Citadel and still kind of struggled. They really didn't look that good. They beat them 27-6, but if you watch them play, they have a lot of work to do. Quarterback, they had 3 different quarterbacks playing. Jordan McLeod, only 68 passing yards and a touchdown. They did run for 302 yards, so if they can get that going, that will help them against Notre Dame. Defense did force 3 turnovers and had actually a 0-yard punt return, which is crazy, but watch it. Then Notre Dame, they only beat Duke 27-13. They kind of struggled there. Ian Book passed for 263, a touchdown on pick. Running back Kyron Williams ran for 112 and 2 touchdowns. Defense had 3 sacks. I want USF to win. I'm from Florida, but I think Notre Dame should take that game. Alright, then the last noon game, this is actually starting at 3, but it's NAA Stephen F. Austin playing UTSA, which is the Texas San Antonio Roadrunners. UTSA is coming off one of the most fun games of the year so far, even though it's only been 2 weeks. They beat Texas State in double overtime, 51-48. It was a great game, back and forth, so just awesome to watch. Quarterback Frank Harris, 169 passing yards and a touchdown, 51 rushing yards and 3 rushing touchdowns. Running back Sincere McCormick, I think, set a school record with 197 rushing yards and a touchdown. They ran for 330, had 499 total yards. They did have 11 penalties, which isn't good. Defense had 5 sacks and a pick 6. Stephen F. Austin did play UTEP pretty closely a couple of weeks ago. You know, UTEP is pretty terrible, but Stephen F. Austin is usually one of the better teams in the 1AA. And UTSA looked pretty good. I mean, this could be close. UTSA could lose, but if they can get their offense going like they did against Texas State, then I think UTSA should be able to take this game. Alright, check out my next video starting with the midday games. UCF. Let's see what I think. Peace.